My name is Lorraine Brooks. I am 74 years old, and I never imagined the most painful moment of my life would happen on my own daughter's birthday. I arrived early carrying her favorite French chocolate cake and a small gift that meant everything to me. Inside the box was my late mother's pearl necklace, something I had dreamed of passing down through generations. I expected a warm hug. Instead, when my daughter Brianna opened the door, she looked annoyed to see me. She barely let me inside and treated me like a stranger delivering a package instead of the woman who had devoted her entire life to her happiness. As we stood in her beautiful kitchen inside the luxury home I had helped pay for, Brianna finally looked at me and said she wanted to be honest. Then she calmly told me the birthday gift she wanted most was for me to disappear from her life. She even said it would be better if I were dead. Her words shattered me. I stood there frozen, unable to believe my own daughter could say something so cruel after everything I had sacrificed. I left the cake behind, walked out of the house in tears, and realized the daughter I loved no longer valued me as a mother. She only saw me as someone who solved her problems. That night I could not sleep. I remembered every sacrifice I had made. I worked extra jobs to pay for her medical treatments when she was little. I financed her education, paid for expensive weddings, helped her buy a luxury home, funded her beauty business, bought her car, and even paid tuition for my grandchildren. When I gathered every receipt and document, I realized I had spent more than $240,000 over 43 years trying to make her life easier. Meanwhile, I had postponed my own medical care, ignored my dreams, and lived on a modest pension. For the first time, I understood I had confused unconditional love with endless self-sacrifice. The next morning, everything changed. I blocked Brianna's number along with her husband's. I closed our shared bank account and transferred the remaining money into my own account. Then I met with the bank and reviewed the mortgage documents for the mansion because I was still legally connected to the loan. I also contacted a travel agency and booked a one-way ticket to Spain. Instead of spending the rest of my life waiting for a daughter who wished I would disappear, I decided to disappear on my own terms and finally choose myself. Before leaving, I wrote Brianna a long farewell letter. I reminded her of every sacrifice I had made, informed her that all financial support was ending, and explained that I was granting the birthday wish she had asked for. If my presence was such a burden, she would never have to see me again. I left the letter with my trusted neighbor, who agreed to deliver it after my flight. Then I quietly boarded a plane to Barcelona with nothing but 2 suitcases and the hope of starting over. When Brianna discovered I was gone, panic replaced her arrogance. She called dozens of times begging me to answer. Her husband even came to my apartment asking me to stop the legal process involving their house because they had already missed mortgage payments. Suddenly I mattered again, but not because they loved me. They needed my money. I calmly refused to rescue them and closed the door. For the first time in decades, I refused to sacrifice myself for people who never appreciated me. Life in Spain became the fresh beginning I never believed was possible. I rented a charming apartment, explored beautiful streets, joined language classes, made genuine friends, and finally spent money on my own happiness instead of someone else's demands. I invested wisely, regained my confidence, and realized I had been living for everyone except myself. Every sunrise reminded me that freedom can arrive at any age if we are brave enough to choose it. Brianna kept trying to contact me, but every conversation proved she still cared more about losing financial support than losing her mother. She even falsely claimed I had dementia in an attempt to regain control over my finances. Medical evaluations proved I was perfectly healthy, and her accusations completely failed. Instead of breaking me, every obstacle made me stronger. I turned my painful experience into a story that inspired thousands of women facing similar emotional abuse from their own families. Months later, the bank repossessed Brianna's mansion after repeated missed payments. I recovered the money I had originally invested, sold my apartment back home, and secured a comfortable future. More importantly, I found peace. I eventually wrote a best-selling book encouraging older parents to stop sacrificing themselves for children who only value them when they need something. Years passed before I finally heard from Brianna again. She admitted she had underestimated my sacrifices and finally understood everything she had destroyed with her cruel words. I never answered. Some wounds heal, but some relationships cannot return to what they once were. I had already built a beautiful new life surrounded by kind people, meaningful friendships, and the freedom I had denied myself for decades. Looking back, I no longer see that terrible birthday as the day I lost my daughter. I see it as the day I found myself. Sometimes the greatest act of love is not sacrificing yourself forever. Sometimes it is walking away, protecting your dignity, and proving that it is never too late to begin again. At 77, I finally understood that the most valuable gift I could ever receive was the courage to choose my own happiness,